Hey everyone, let me tell you about one of the most incredible transformation stories in NBA history. We're talking about a guy who literally couldn't dribble or shoot when he first stepped on an NBA court, but somehow became a champion and an all-star. This is the absolutely wild journey of Pascal Siakam, and trust me, you're not going to believe how this story unfolds. The most confused rookie you've ever seen. Picture this. It's 2016, and Pascal Siakam's name gets called at the NBA draft. The crowd's buzzing. People are excited. But here's the thing. Nobody really knows who this guy is. The Toronto Raptors just drafted a 6'9" forward from New Mexico State. Not Duke or Kentucky or any of those powerhouse schools. This dude had only been playing basketball for 4 years, and before that, he was kicking soccer balls in the streets of Cameroon. When Siakam stepped on that NBA court for his first game, man, it was absolutely painful to watch. Sure, he had incredible raw athleticism. You could see the potential there. But his game was completely and utterly unpolished. Passes going absolutely nowhere. Missed layups that should have been easy. Fouls everywhere you looked. You could literally see the confusion written all over his face, like he was asking himself, what am I even doing here? The Toronto crowd was groaning at his mistakes, and honestly, you couldn't blame them. They were watching a guy who looked like he'd just learned basketball the week before trying to compete against some of the best athletes in the world. It was rough. Really rough. But here's what made it even crazier. Siakam wasn't just struggling with basketball fundamentals. He was adjusting to life in North America, dealing with intense NBA pressure, and learning a completely different style of play from anything he'd experienced. There was this massive, almost impossible gap between what he could potentially do and what he was actually doing on the court every single night, from soccer fields to basketball dreams. Let's rewind and talk about how this all started, because Pascal's origin story is absolutely insane. This guy didn't grow up in some basketball hotbed like Los Angeles or New York. He came from Douala, Cameroon, where soccer was the undisputed king of sports. Basketball? That wasn't even on the radar for most kids growing up there. Here's the mind-blowing part. Pascal didn't even touch a basketball until he was 16 years old. Can you imagine that? Picking up the game at 16 when everyone else has been playing since they were 5 or 6 years old, already talking trash and dreaming about NBA contracts. Most guys his age were already thinking about college scholarships, while Pascal was still figuring out how to dribble with his left hand. But he had something truly special. That raw athleticism, those incredibly long arms, that insane lateral movement that you just can't teach. The problem was, he was literally learning everything from complete scratch, like trying to ride a bike without training wheels while everyone else is already doing tricks and wheelies. When he finally got noticed by the basketball world and made his way to New Mexico State for college, things still weren't looking like a smooth ride. He was playing Division I basketball, which is no joke, but compared to guys from big-name schools with years of elite coaching and development, his skill set was still incredibly raw, and the hype was basically non-existent. The Toronto gamble that could have backfired. After just 2 years in college, the Raptors took what everyone considered a massive gamble on this guy. They didn't pick him because of his already developed skills. Let's be honest, those weren't there yet. They picked him because they saw the potential to mold him into something truly special, something nobody else was seeing at the time. But here's the kicker that nobody talks about. Despite being drafted into the NBA, Siakam didn't get handed a golden ticket to the big leagues. Nope, he got sent straight to the G League, which is basically basketball purgatory for a lot of players. The G League grind that changed everything. Now, most players see the G League as either a stepping stone or the end of the road where dreams go to die. But not Pascal. He went to Raptors 905, the team's G League affiliate, and absolutely destroyed the competition night after night. He wasn't just putting up impressive numbers on the stat sheet, he was showing that raw potential Toronto saw in him, game after game. While other guys were focused on flashy dunks and highlight reel plays that might get them noticed, Siakam was grinding on the fundamentals that would actually make him a better player. Footwork, defensive positioning, basketball IQ, understanding spacing and timing. This stuff isn't sexy, but it's what separates good players from great ones. This wasn't just about basketball anymore. This was about hunger, about proving that he belonged. He absolutely refused to let anyone outwork him, no matter how late he joined the party or how far behind he started. That hunger and relentless work ethic eventually took him from the G League back to the NBA. Not as some lucky fluke, but as someone who had truly earned his spot through blood, sweat, and countless hours of dedication. The birth of Spicy P. Fast forward to 2018, and something just clicked for Pascal. It was like watching someone flip a switch. He went from struggling rookie to becoming the spicy new face of Toronto basketball. The nickname Spicy P wasn't just some random social media creation. It was about the incredible flavor and energy he brought to the game that nobody saw coming. This guy wasn't your typical power forward who stayed in the post and grabbed rebounds. Pascal was slashing to the basket with signature spin moves that left defenders dizzy, knocking down three-pointers from way beyond the arc, playing absolutely relentless defense that frustrated opposing teams. He became Toronto's Swiss Army knife, the guy who could do literally everything you needed him to do. When the playoffs came around, nobody expected him to be the breakout star. The Raptors had Kawhi Leonard, the finals MVP, the guy everyone assumed would carry the team on his back. But Pascal stepped up against elite players like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Joel Embiid, going toe-to-toe with guys who were supposed to be way out of his league. He was absolutely fearless, never backing down even when the spotlight was brightest and the pressure was most intense, outplaying the superstars on the biggest stage. Then came the moment that changed everything. Game 1 of the 2019 NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. Pascal dropped 32 points on a dynasty that was at the absolute peak of their powers. This wasn't some garbage time performance either. It wasn't like they were letting him do his thing. Every time the Warriors thought they had him figured out, he'd hit them with another spin move, a quick three-pointer, or a Euro step that left their defenders completely spinning and confused. People want to say the Warriors were injured and that's why he succeeded. But let's be completely real here. Pascal was going toe-to-toe with legends like Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, guys who had been to the mountaintop multiple times. He showed the entire basketball world that he was ready to climb that mountain too. He wasn't just Kawhi's sidekick anymore. He was taking over crucial possessions and hitting clutch shots with the kind of swagger that makes you think, wait, is this guy actually for real? The invisible work that made it all possible. But here's what people don't understand. Transformations like this don't just magically happen because you're naturally gifted. After his rookie season, when everyone still thought he was just a role player with potential, Pascal spent his entire offseason with one singular focus: becoming a legitimate go-to guy that teams would have to game plan around. He became absolutely obsessed with perfecting his footwork. Those moves you see now that look like cheat codes against NBA defenders, they came from literally thousands of hours of drills focusing on footwork, agility, balance, and developing an intuitive feel for the game. The coaching staff kept pushing him. Get stronger, get faster, get smarter, and don't stop until you can dominate every single matchup you face. And step by step, workout by workout, day after day, that raw athletic energy slowly transformed into refined basketball skill. Every season, his confidence grew bigger, his game became more polished and consistent, and his understanding of how to impact winning became deeper. The fall that almost broke him. But then 2020 hit like an absolute brick wall, and everything fell apart. The bubble playoffs in Orlando completely cooked Pascal's confidence. His shooting rhythm disappeared, his decision-making got shaky, and suddenly fans went from chanting Spicy P to calling him mid-tier at best. The internet absolutely ate him alive with memes, hot takes, and non-stop disrespect. I felt like I let people down, he admitted after a brutal series against the Celtics. I didn't recognize myself out there. Most players would have hidden from that level of criticism and public embarrassment, but Pascal did something different. He owned the slump completely, the mental work that led to his comeback. Instead of just working on his jump shot and ball handling, Pascal worked on his mind just as much as his game. He started doing meditation, went to therapy, and really dug deep into understanding why the pressure had broken him when it mattered most. He pulled up on podcasts and admitted everything: his struggles, his doubts, his failures, with no ego and no excuses. From meme material to absolute monster. And guess what happened? That same dude who got roasted for his spin moves and poor shooting came back the next season averaging 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, All NBA selection again. He went from being meme material to becoming a legitimate walking bucket that opposing teams had to completely game plan around. Now, when you watch Pascal play, teams have no choice but to make him their primary focus. Leave him open from three, he's draining it with confidence. Try to crowd him and take away the shot? He'll blow by you with that first step, or bully his way to the rim with improved strength. Post fades, transition euros, coast-to-coast drives. His offensive bag is incredibly deep and diverse. He's become a 6'9" point forward who can guard literally every position on the floor, while also running the offense and making plays for his teammates. The best part about his evolution, he never complains about his role, doesn't beg for media attention or headlines, just consistently lets his game do all the talking. Pascal Siakam went from literally not knowing how to dribble a basketball to becoming a legitimate matchup nightmare that keeps opposing coaches up at night. He transformed from being the most confused rookie anyone had ever seen to becoming an NBA champion and multiple-time All-Star. That's the incredible power of refusing to give up on yourself, grinding relentlessly when nobody's watching, and turning your biggest struggles and weaknesses into your greatest strengths. Pascal Siakam's story proves that it's never about where you start. It's about how hard you're willing to work to get where you want to go.